before you visit any man in his house. The compound was called Face Me I Face You for a reason. 10 rooms lined up like soldiers on parade, each with a brown wooden door. Every door opened to a small space called a room, not a home. 15 families shared one toilet, one bathroom, and a single washing line where clothes fought for space like passengers in a downfall bus. This was where Tomiwa and her younger sister Deborah lived, room 7B, in a crumbling building with faded blue paint and cracked floors, right in the heart of Ajegunle, Lagos. Life here wasn't just hard, it was survival on hard mode. Tomiwa was 30, but life had painted stress lines on her face that added years. Still, she had moments when her smile erased time and made her look 25 again. She was tough, loud, and unafraid to speak her mind. Every time the mosquitoes bit, she would shout, "If I catch Noah N." Who told him to carry mosquitoes inside the ark? Debby, 26, was the softer one. She had a gentle voice and kind eyes. She held a second-class upper degree in business administration but had turned job-seeking into a full-time hustle. Her well-worn shoes had memorized the route to every business center in Lagos Island. She would come home with worn files and a hopeful sigh. The sisters had lost their parents years ago. Since then, it had always been the two of them, two zobo-colored dreams swimming in a world that drank only champagne. "Oh, Debby," Tomiwa called one Tuesday evening, jumping from the bed. "Come and see this mosquito. Oh. It bit me and used my blood to do sanitizer." Debby, who was rearranging her CV folder again, laughed. "Now you say make we know by raid again. So now what do you expect?" Tomiwa rolled her eyes and found herself harder. "Raid is 1,200 naira now, Debby. I'd rather let the mosquito suck me dry. At least, I can sue them later for harassment." Despite their hardship, the girls laughed daily. They turned struggle into skits, sorrow into sarcasm. Their mattress was thin, their dreams were thick. One night, after another round of boiled indomie with no egg, Debby whispered, "If I get a job, the first thing I'll do is rent us a self-contained apartment. You'll even have a shop with AC, Tommy." Tommy smiled in the dark. "From your mouth to God's ears." The next morning, the Lagos sun came out blazing like it had something to prove. Debby returned home dragging her dusty shoes, her file hanging limply in her hands like a defeated flag. "How did it go?" Tommy asked, scraping burnt rice from the bottom of the pot. "Same old line," Debby muttered. "We'll get back to you. I don't know if they mean me or my ancestors." Tommy laughed. "You should write a book. How to survive 70 rejections and still look fine." Then, Debby's phone vibrated. She checked it, smiled softly. Tommy narrowed her eyes. "Who's making your face shine like Akamo?" "His name is Kelvin," Debby said, blushing. "I met him today at CMS. My file fell. He helped me pick it up, and we got talking." Tommy sat up. "Just like that. He bought me lunch, sent me 2,000 Nigerian nairas for transport." Tommy folded her arms. "Debby, when did you last see someone give you food, money, and compliments without return match? Something is fishy." "Maybe God has remembered us," Debby said, still smiling. "God doesn't remember people through men with shiny teeth and unknown jobs." Debby giggled. "He said he owns an import and export business." "Exporting what?" "Human kidneys." Tommy shot back. But Debby was already smitten. And over the next few days, Kelvin turned full Romeo. He sent data money, 5,000 Nigerian nairas. Then 10,000 Nigerian nairas for a new dress. His messages read like gospel love songs. "You are not meant for this life of struggle. I want to spoil you. I want you to be my queen." Debby began glowing like someone who just found oil in her backyard. Tommy watched quietly. She loved her sister, but her instincts were screaming louder than BRT horns in rush hour. 2 weeks later, Debby came into the room with a serious face. Kelvin invited me to his house, she said. Tommy dropped her mirror. To do what? Fry akara. He said he's making grilled chicken. Just wants me to come chill. Tommy stared. Debby, we have no mother, no father. If anything happens to you, who will look for you? Our landlord doesn't even know our surname. I know, Debby said. That's why I'm telling you. I'll share the address, car plate number. You can stay on call with me if you want. Tommy folded her arms. I want his estate name, street, gate number, house number, and blood group. Sister. No jokes, Debby. Before you enter any Lagos man's house these days, even your ancestors need to know. Saturday arrived like a thief in daylight. Debby wore a soft yellow dress and tied her hair into a neat puff. She looked beautiful, too beautiful for their dusty corridor. Do I look okay? She asked. You look like someone who is about to be abducted, Tommy muttered. Debby rolled her eyes. I've told you everything. I'll even share live location. Tommy shook her head. Live location can be edited. Give me full address and WhatsApp audio call. I'll stay on the line. Debby obeyed. As she walked out, Tommy turned on her phone and placed the call on speaker. She sat on their bed with arms folded, her ear tuned to every background sound. 15 minutes passed. She heard car doors open, soft laughter, Kelvin's voice, welcome, my queen. Your perfume smells like heaven. Tommy rolled her eyes. God abego. Suddenly, the line went faint. No voices. No response. Tommy froze. She didn't hang up. Something told her to wait. Meanwhile, Debby stepped into the compound at Palm Heights Estate, one of those high-end places in Lekki where the air smelled like designer perfume and the silence could be deafening. The gate was tall and black, manned by sluggish guards who barely looked up when Kelvin walked out to receive her. He led her in with a soft smile. You look like the definition of grace. Debby blushed. Thanks. Your estate is really nice. Kelvin's apartment was on the first floor. When he opened the door, Debby paused slightly. The house was sparkling clean. Marble floors. Large TV. Glass table. Fragrance that smelled like money mixed with danger. But something felt off. Too clean. Too quiet. Too calculated. Wow, she said, trying to hide her discomfort. It's beautiful. Sit, my queen. Feel at home, Kelvin said, gently taking her handbag and placing it near the door. Debby sat, her heart racing. She scanned the room, no family photos, no calendars, no clutter. Just clean, cold walls and expensive silence. The place felt like a hotel room that didn't want you to stay too long. Kelvin returned with a glass of red liquid. You'll love this. Imported juice, straight from Italy. Debby accepted it with trembling fingers but didn't drink. Instead, she smiled and looked at the ceiling fan. Kelvin sat across from her, watching. Not her face, her body. You're very special, Debby, he said. The moment I saw you, I knew you were different. Debby's instinct screamed louder. She smiled. Thank you. Do you trust me? He asked, leaning forward. Her throat dried. Yes, she lied. I do. Good, he said, nodding. Because trust is everything. Debby nodded slowly, still pretending. So, what's your full name? I realized I never asked. Kelvin paused. Then smiled, too wide. You ask too many questions, my queen. Just enjoy the moment. Now her stomach churned. This wasn't just a red flag. It was a marching band. She placed the untouched drink on the table. Actually, I think I should go. I told my sister I won't stay long. Kelvin's expression changed. Not angry. Worse. Blank. Oh, your sister, he said slowly. Funny thing about sisters. They care so much. But when it matters most, they are usually careless. Debbie's blood ran cold. I beg your pardon. Kelvin stood and moved closer. Do you know how many girls have sat on that same couch? Girls like you. With dreams. With CVs talking about their sisters, families, hopes. Debbie shot to her feet. Please, I need to go. He blocked the door. You're not going anywhere. Please, she whispered, I won't tell anyone. He smiled. They all say that. Right before they end up as missing person posters at the BRT station. He reached behind the curtain and pulled out a rope. Debbie gasped, stepping back. What are you doing? He advanced slowly, rope in hand. That's when she screamed, not a panic scream, but a name. Tomiwa. Back in Ajegunle, Tommy was in the corridor gossiping with Mama Bola and holding a plastic plate of jollof rice made by their neighbor Amoka when she noticed her phone blinking. She picked it up, call still active, timer reading 1 hour 12 minutes. Curious, she raised it to her ear and froze. She heard scuffling, rope swishing, and Debbie's voice screaming her name in terror. Tommy dropped the plate. She didn't wait. Didn't wear slippers. Didn't lock the door. She just ran. Through the corridor, down the stairs, past startled neighbors who called out, Tommy. Wetin happen? Where you dey go barefooted? No answer. Only speed. There was a tiny police station about 2 streets away. A yellow building with peeling walls and 2 officers who usually sat playing drafts outside. Today, they were about to earn their uniforms. Tomiwa burst through the door, breathless, wild-eyed officers. My sister. They are killing her. The officer stood slowly. Madam, calm down, she slammed her phone on the counter. Listen. The call is still active. The sound of a man's cold voice filled the air, followed by rustling sounds and faint whimpering. Did you hear that? She yelled. She went to visit one man. His name is Kelvin. But he told her his estate is Palm Heights in Lekki. One officer's eyes widened. Palm Heights. Yes. I have his phone number. I have the car plate number. He calls himself Kelvin. Please. The other officer picked up a radio immediately. Dispatch. Suspect possibly located, Palm Heights. Hostage situation. Code red. The first officer turned to Tommy. Madam, you might have just cracked something big. This man, Kelvin. His real name is Chuka no Kidi. We've been looking for him for over a year. Tommy's legs shook. He's a suspected serial predator. Women go missing around him. No bodies. No evidence. Just silence. Tommy wailed. Please save her. Please. 3 armed officers loaded into a police van. Tommy jumped in without invitation, clutching her phone like it was Debbie's lifeline. Can you still hear anything? The driver asked. Tommy placed the call on speaker. A man's voice, don't do this to me, please, I haven't told anyone, then a loud metallic thud. Tommy broke into tears. God, please, if you save my sister, I promise I'll never complain about mosquitoes again. The van raced through the Lekki traffic like a mad bullet. They reached Palm Heights estate in less than 15 minutes. The estate guards were too stunned to stop the van. Tommy pointed. That's the one. Flat 2C, upstairs. The officers moved like trained pandas. One heavy knock. No response. Then, bam, they broke the door in with a crash. Tommy was held back, but she heard Debbie screaming and scuffling from inside. Then, silence. Seconds stretched into hours. Finally, an officer appeared at the door. "She's alive." Tommy fell to her knees, sobbing. They brought Debbie out wrapped in a blanket. Her makeup was smudged, her yellow dress torn, and her eyes wide with trauma. But she was alive. Tommy ran to her, holding her tightly. "I heard you," Tomiwa whispered. "I didn't end the call." Debbie sobbed. "I knew you wouldn't." By the time the police van returned to Ajegunle, the sun had begun to rise. But for Tomiwa, that night had never ended. She sat on a plastic chair just outside the hospital ward. Her clothes were still the same, torn blouse, wrapper tied carelessly over her nightgown, feet dusty from the barefoot run to the police station. Her face was swollen from crying. She hadn't eaten. She hadn't slept. She didn't need to. All she wanted now was her sister to be okay. Inside, Debbie was lying in a hospital bed, wrapped in a clean white blanket. The doctor had said she didn't have any major physical injuries, no wounds, no broken bones. But the trauma. That kind of wound bled inside. After what felt like a full day compressed into hours, a nurse walked out and touched Tommy's shoulder. "You can go in now," she said gently. Tomiwa walked into the ward like she was approaching a sacred altar. There was her sister, Debbie, pale but alive, sitting up slowly with tear-streaked cheeks and tired eyes. They didn't speak. Tomiwa just sat by her side and held her hand tight. Like someone afraid to let go. After a long silence, Debbie whispered, "I thought I was going to die." Tommy blinked fast, fighting more tears. "I thought so too. But God held your life hostage." Debbie gave a weak smile. "When I screamed your name, I didn't even know if the call was still on." "It was," Tommy said, nodding. "I forgot to end it." That's the first time my forgetfulness saved the day. They both managed to laugh, tired, broken laughter, but it was still laughter. Then Debbie's face turned serious. "How many girls didn't make it?" Tommy looked down. "Too many. The police found phones, clothes, documents, things that belonged to girls who were never reported missing." Debbie closed her eyes. "He was so polite. So kind. I thought he was an angel." Tomiwa shook her head slowly. "Even Satan was a choir master before he became the serpent." "I'm just glad I have you," Debbie whispered. Tommy smiled and squeezed her hand. "That's why God made us sisters. Because he knew I'm too stubborn to let evil win." That same evening, the Lagos State Police Command held a press briefing. Cameras flashed. Reporters crowded. The spokesperson stepped forward. "Today, a man known to the public as Kelvin was arrested in Lekki Phase 1. His real name is Chuka Nokidi, a suspect in multiple cases of missing women reported across Lagos and Ogun states. Thanks to the swift action of a young woman named Tomiwa Okonjo, we were able to reach his most recent target in time." Journalists exploded into chatter. Within an hour, the story was trending across Nigeria. #Sister Save Sister, #Sister Watch 9/11 Ajegunle Girl Stop Serial Predator. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram went wild. One tweet read, "Before you visit any man in this Lagos, drop your location, your outfit, his full name, plate number, BVN, and shoe size." #Sister Watch 9/11 inch. Another read, "We need to create a national app. Share location, audio, and contact info before every date." Shout out to Tomiwa, Lagos real MVP. Some even joked, "Don't forget your pepper spray and a WhatsApp call with your village ancestors on speaker." Memes flooded in. One showed a mosquito wearing a badge that said, "I'm no longer the most dangerous thing in Lagos." But beyond the laughter was deep gratitude and rage. Women shared their own scary near misses. Girls opened up about predators with perfume and polished shoes. Parents started calling their daughters more often. The story had shaken a sleeping society awake. Back in the hospital, a local women's rights organization arrived to see Debby. The group, Niger Women's Safe Initiative, offered her access to free therapy sessions, rehabilitation counseling, and legal aid if needed. Debby hesitated at first. But then she nodded. Because while her body was untouched, her mind had changed. Something in her heart shifted. She no longer felt like the same girl who smiled at compliments from strangers or believed in fairy tales about rich import and export men at bus stops. She had seen evil. Smelled it in imported perfume. And it would take time to believe in safety again. During her first therapy session, she said softly, "He looks so normal. I never even imagined." The counselor nodded, "That's what makes them dangerous. But you were brave, and your sister was vigilant. You are alive. That is your victory." Later that week, the governor's wife visited her in the hospital and presented the sisters with a letter of recognition. Several non-profits offered sponsorships. One tech company even offered to build a public emergency alert platform named after them. Weeks passed. The compound in Ajegunle was still the same. Children still ran around half-naked. Women still argued over buckets at the tap. The landlord still knocked loudly once rent was due. But room 7B was different now. Tomiwa and Debby sat together one evening, eating boiled yam and egg sauce, a small rechargeable fan blowing weakly in their direction. Tommy turned and smiled. "You know what I'm grateful for?" "What?" Debby asked, picking out onions from her egg. "I'm grateful for forgetting to cut the call." Debby laughed. "I'm grateful you never mind your business." Tommy laughed louder. "I don't even have business, so let me monitor yours." Then Debby grew quiet. "What if I never told you I was going? What if I just went?" Tommy dropped her fork. "Then I would have lost you." They sat quietly for a while. Then Debby whispered, "That day, I saw death in his eyes." Tommy nodded. "But God saw life in yours. That's why you're here." The story of Deborah Okonjo and Tomiwa Okonjo didn't disappear quietly. In fact, it became a movement. Posters appeared in markets and campuses. The hashtag SisterWatch 9/11 initiative, started by a few volunteers in Yoba, quickly gained momentum. It encouraged women to share their destination and contact person before a visit, always go with data or airtime, keep a safety contact on WhatsApp call and trust their instincts. Influencers joined in. Skit makers created mini-dramas. A Nollywood producer even contacted the sisters about turning their story into a short film. For once, a real-life story didn't fade away. It stayed. It echoed. It warned. A month later, the sisters were invited to a local TV station for a sit-down interview. The host, a smartly dressed woman named Yemisi Adebayo, sat across from them with her notebook. "Tomiwa, let's start with you," she said. "You stayed on a phone call that most people would have ended after 10 minutes. Why?" Tommy smiled. "I don't know. I just had this gut feeling. And my sister, she told me everything. I couldn't take chances." Yemisi turned to Debby. "And you? You trusted someone who seemed so genuine. What would you say to other young women like you?" Debby breathed deeply. "We all want good things. Love. Money. Attention. But I've learned that the devil doesn't always come with horns. Sometimes, he wears cologne and drives a clean car." The audience clapped. "I was lucky," she continued. "But luck isn't a strategy. Always let someone know where you're going. Even if it's just your neighbor." Therapy continued for Debby, this time privately at home with a counselor from the Niger Women's Safe Initiative. She struggled with nightmares for a while, waking up sweating, gasping, clutching her chest. But Tomiwa was always nearby. Sometimes she stayed awake just to watch her sleep in peace. They added small rituals to their routine, Morning prayers, midweek gratitude notes, Friday check-in walks and sometimes silence, too. Silence was allowed. On one of those walks, Debbie paused at a shop window with mannequins in bright lace fabrics. "I want to start something," she said. Tommy looked at her. "Like what?" "Maybe a small clothing business. Online first. I don't want to depend on job interviews anymore." Tommy smiled proudly. "That's my girl. Start small. Start smart." With a donation from a women-led NGO and a little savings, Debbie's Closet was born, an Instagram thrift fashion page, offering affordable yet classy pieces, with a tagline, "Because you deserve better." One Sunday afternoon, as they folded laundry in their room, Debbie looked at Tomiwa and said, "I'm scared that I'll never be the same." Tommy sat beside her. "You won't be. But maybe that's not a bad thing." Debbie frowned slightly. Tommy continued, "You are wiser now. Stronger. Safer. You were gentle before, and you still are. But now, you know the world is not all kind. That's survival, Debbie. That's not a weakness." Tears welled in Debbie's eyes. She pulled her sister into a hug. "I love you, Tommy. I love you too, my Debs." The room was still. But the silence didn't feel heavy this time. It felt like peace. At Palm Heights Estate, Flat 2C was sealed shut with yellow police tape. Officers had moved in and out for days, collecting DNA samples, stained ropes, knives, women's clothing, and a locked box filled with SIM cards. Chuka Nokidi was arraigned in court for multiple counts of attempted murder, kidnapping, and identity fraud. His smile in court disappeared when the judge denied bail. The case was ongoing. But justice had begun. And for every girl out there wondering if it's too much to be cautious before visiting a man, Tomiwa and Deborah's story answered clearly, "No, it's not too much. It might just save your life."
Hope you enjoyed the tale. If so, please like the video, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Also turn on your notification to get more enchanted tales like this one. Goodbye.